All right, so hi again, everyone, and we're now going to call each panelist to the seats. The first one is Jeffrey Shmigelski. He is the CTO and co-founder of One Cup AI. Yes, please welcome Jeff. Good. Thank you. Yes, go ahead. Jeffrey has a distinguished career leveraging cutting-edge technologies with several startup exits. Accolades include Entrepreneur of the Year and Associate Founder, Singularity University. He holds a master's degree in computer science from Georgia Tech with a specialization in artificial intelligence and deep learning. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
And just to follow the pictures here, I guess I will call out the next one is Amir Omar. So Amir Omar is the head of AI of Precision AI. Welcome, Amir. Amir Omar El-Sahami has been leading innovations in real-time crop protection as the head of artificial intelligence at Precision AI since 2021. His expertise in state-of-the-art AI and machine learning techniques for precision agriculture drives the company into next-level technological advancement. Amir holds a bachelor's degree in computer and systems engineering from Ain Shams University, which has laid a solid foundation for his 11-year career in high-tech environments. Significant contributions to artificial intelligence and machine learning have marked Amir's tenure at leading global firms like Microsoft and Siemens. At Microsoft, he was instrumental in enhancing the Azure speaker recognition service, Microsoft Louise, and the multilingual capabilities of Microsoft Bot framework. His innovative spirit continued at Siemens, where he developed a comprehensive machine learning flow manager, MLFM, for factory automation. He has more, but unfortunately I cut it there. So welcome, Amir. And next, we're gonna call Mahadi Syed. Welcome, Mahadi. Mahadi is the president and CEO of Clinisys. Mahadi Syed is the founding president and CEO of Clinisys EMR Inc. This company has been operational for over 12 years with its head office located at the Edmonton Research Park. Under his guidance, Clinisys data scientists have worked on numerous projects in the health and wellness domain, covering a wide variety of topics, including but not limited to patient readmission, cancer care resource optimization, and the use of ML in predictive modeling for athlete data. Welcome, Mahadi. And yes, Nir Kaczynski, co-founder of Pulse Medica. Welcome, Nir. Dr. Nir Kaczynski is the co-founder and CEO of Pulse Medica, a spin-out company from the U of A. After completing his PhD in electrical biomedical engineering, Nir co-founded Pulse Medica, combining his business acumen with his technical expertise. Nir has years of experience developing new medical devices and technology with specific background in femtosecond laser and ophthalmic imaging technologies. With Nir's leadership, Pulse Medica raised a total over 18 million Canadian dollars in dilutive and non-dilutive capital. Nir has built the company's team of 35 world-class engineers and business leaders within 3 years who progressed to clinical trials. Pulse Medica's technology and fast-paced development is recognized by multinational strategic companies. Nir has also attracted world-renowned business leaders, medical advisors, and investors to serve on the company's board of directors and advisory boards. In addition to being the CEO of Pulse Medica, Nir is passionate about personal growth and mentorship to other early-stage startup and entrepreneurs. Welcome, Nir. Last but not least, we have Quinn Goratsky. Welcome, Quinn. Quinn is the CEO of Rock7. Quinn brings over 20 years of experience in technology development, finance, international business, stakeholder engagement, government, and the energy industry of Rock7. In a varied career with the government of Alberta, Quinn led both regulatory and operational improvements of Alberta's electricity metering and billing, to leading the development of data-driven international marketing strategies and performance management of Alberta's international offices. During his tenure at the Alberta Research Council, Quinn led a national team involving 5 provincial research agencies in developing a unique algal growth system for capturing and converting carbon. He led technical reviews of nuclear power, energy storage, and geological storage while raising nearly $20 million for clean energy technology projects. Through client engagement, Quinn conceptualized road intuition for the liquid pipeline industry. Quinn has also completed a master's in international trade policy and master in business administration. Quinn graduated from the executive program at Singularity University. Welcome, Quinn. Yes, and as we see, we have a very good or great panelists here. Well, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Griselda. I'm from ISAIC, Industry Sandbox and AI Computing. We are a cloud service provider here in Edmonton, Alberta. And I guess with that, we can just start the panel. For those who cannot see, you're very welcome to come here, but yes, it's okay for you to stay there as well. So yes, I will be sitting down. Thank you. So the first question actually is, we want to know more about you. I know that we have heard a lot about you, but we want to know your story from your own, voice. So in the spirit of applied artificial intelligence, what about telling us how your company incorporates technology to solve real world problems? And perhaps Jeff, you want to start?
You're picking on me, eh?
Well,
It's great to actually meet you. We've never actually met before.
Yes, Jeff. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Very quickly, we do computer vision for animal care. The reason we do that, and the problem that we're solving, is several. We're the eyes of a human when the human is away. So on a ranch, we use computer vision for animals that are calving, or when they're sick, or when they're ready to be bred. We built Face ID for animals. In the area of pets, we use computer vision to accelerate drug trials. And we do so reduce what takes months to a matter of days to assess the results of drug trials in pets. In both cases, we use ISAIC to do so. In Q, we process roughly up to 50 million animal images per day on ISAIC. And last quarter, we did 1.6 billion. And we sent out 25,000 animal or calving event notifications to animal owners, including ranches and so forth.
Thank you.
What we are doing basically is that we're trying to solve the problem of limited resources and waste of herbicides and pesticides on bare soil in agriculture. Pretty much the motivation behind the precision AI story is that like around 80% of pesticides goes on just bare soil, which is in many ways is waste of money, and also it's not very good for the environment and for the supply chain as well. When things become harder because of any environmental reason, that affects the prices of crops and especially food. So that was the opportunity for precision AI. Now it might be the time to try to solve the problem using drones, because drones can escape and they can construct swarms and they can be more mobile in the environment of agriculture. And the main bottleneck here is how can we onboard artificial intelligence real-time enough on edge. So that's the whole thing where our computer vision story starts. So we are doing computer vision for plant anesthesis and plant species classification, so that we can spray only what needs to be sprayed and classify the different species of plants to treat each one of them individually with the proper treatment, not all of them in a broadcast manner.
Thank you. Yes. And Mahari?
Yes, so we started in 2011, so a good 12 years now in business. But we started in electronic medical records, and soon we went into AI and ML, in those days more so data analytics on patient data. And the first project that I still was very near to me and still is, was patient readmissions in Ontario all the way. And the hospital came up with the use case where they were trying to track which are the high-risk patients of readmitting into the hospital system, which is one of the most costliest parameter in emergency medicine. That project was sponsored by then President and CEO of South Lake Hospital, who was a two-time astronaut and NASA's data division head at some point. So after doing that project, we never stopped AI and ML projects, mainly in health and clinical data. And we basically branched out into 3 different verticals within the healthcare, which is the operational data, the clinical data, and administrative data. And the latest project that is associated with ISAIC, where we use the infrastructure, was at the Cross Cancer Institute, where we analyze resources, the data that is associated with radiologists, radiation oncologists, and nurses, and so forth, because cancer care resources are extremely very rare and have to be utilized in a way that the patient care is maintained. So that was a fairly large project, and I'm glad to inform that it was quite a good success. And the last project that we did, we have Dr. Lawrence Vischer here, was a pediatrics data. And again, we developed some models which are amazingly accurate from the research Dr. Vischer has completed over the number of years. And it is moving forward, applying those kind of rare diseases and identifying rare diseases in pediatric data. So those are some of the clinical and administrative data models that we have created using AI and ML in real life. So I'll stop here.
And there, yes.
I wanted to make, maybe before I share our story, an observation. AI is quite interesting because there are certain things that us as humans can do in a very trivial, like machine vision aspects. There's some machine vision here, and what we're doing is machine vision. And so for us as humans to do machine vision, it's very trivial. We can point at something and say, this is a chair. But you need to train an AI so much to tell AI this is a chair. And so we're working very hard on making something work that's fairly simple for us as humans to do, but how do we do it well? And then there's the other spectrum, which is how do we use big data, like lots and lots of data, to be able to distill very good information that we as humans cannot do very well. And so it's kind of interesting how there's that, the 2 different worlds. And then even in the machine vision world, we start getting into the aspect of how can we do things better than a human, which is kind of that next evolution. So for us as a company, we're essentially trying to replace the human and maybe replace the human with something that can do better. So we're building a medical device to treat eye disease, and so specifically we have a system that does imaging of the back of the eye in real time in 3 dimensions, and then with the goal to deliver a laser treatment very precisely. So a couple examples of disease we're working on is diabetic retinopathy. So people have diabetes, have these leaky blood vessels in the back of the eye. And so, for example, we're using AI to be able to look at the back of the eye, find all these leaky spots, and understanding which ones of them need treatment and which ones do not. And so you could imagine a human can probably go and find, okay, here's all the spots that are leaking, but then you need to start correlating it with other sources of information to know which ones actually need to be treated. And so we're automating that process and doing essentially that treatment planning. The other piece that we're working on right now, and this is one of our biggest focuses, is actually patients that have eye floaters. So if you know the things that float in your vision as you look at the sky or the snow. And so floaters specifically are pretty challenging to visualize using machine vision. So for human to see, oh, here's a floater that's moving around, it's pretty clear, but for a machine vision problem, it's a pretty difficult problem. And so we're employing AI to be able to solve that problem, to be able to detect them, to track them in 3D, and to automate the treatment planning procedure as well. So that's what we're doing with Pulse right now.
Thank you.
Excellent. Hi, I'm Quinn from Rogue 7. Yeah, Rogue was created as almost as a reaction to the situation. There was a number of us working in a company that produced a product called Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition, SCADA for short. I'll quiz you guys later on all these acronyms. But the big takeaway was, I was talking to some very large pipeline companies, and I was saying, hey, we want to sell you new SCADA. We can handle all these data points. It's really amazing. Because you said big data. Well, I talked to one SCADA guy, and he said, that's amazing. You do all this data. I thought, oh, great, I got a sale. I followed up with him a week later. He goes, no, you didn't understand. Our controllers are being overwhelmed with data. data, we're actually having to reduce the amount of data that our controllers see. And for me, that was the seminal event that got me going down Road 7 and working with the wonderful people I work with. What we visualized is, why don't we build a digital assistant powered by ML that takes the data off a SCADA system or a historian, and through that we do data visualization, we do predictions, we do trend analysis, and we show you a better way to operate your pipeline. Success, using our product, we can increase throughput by 4% in a pipeline system. What does that mean? You install some 25 pipelines, you have a virtual pipeline. So for all the people out there who don't want to build a new pipeline, install our product. We'll give you one, you won't even have to look at it. That is where we started. And I got one of my colleagues in the audience here, so he's gonna laugh, but we were going gangbusters, and then this global pandemic thing came along. And we realized that the energy sector was taking a step back. And we said, what else can we apply these amazing technologies and these insights to? So we're also heavily involved in water distribution networks, using the same methodology, a digital assistant. We're going very, very aggressively after a problem that we were very surprised by. Globally, 25% of water from source to customer is lost due to water leakage. And so we've been working very aggressively on that challenge with a variety of acoustic water data. And we're finding a great deal of success and slowly starting to get market penetration on that. The big thing with us, I guess, maybe just to differentiate ourselves from my colleagues here, is we're going after industrial and utility customers. So basically the best way from a sales cycle to describe it is, it's a long romance. A lot of different engagement, a lot of committees you're engaging with. And really the funniest thing is, you have this constant discussion about data. They go, well, I don't know if I have this data or if I have that data, or gosh, we only pull the data once an hour, but in reality they can pull it once a second. It's these constant discussions on data. So not only big data, but getting as much data, getting into a structured format, and in that way we can visualize it and really pull out actionable intelligence for the people. And that's the essence of us. We're building digital assistants to give you actionable intelligence.
Thank you. Wow, that's very impressive. Yeah, you were going to say something?
No, that's really good.
Okay, yeah. I was just thinking how impressive it is for all of them, I guess, our panelists, that they see opportunities. Like, there are some problems in the industries, for example, and then they can see, oh, maybe we can improve it in this way, like that, with AI especially. So, following up on that, I guess, my next question would be, can you share with us, what are the challenges that you somehow turn into opportunities, turn into a positive story where, you know what, we can solve this problem in this way, for example. It can be anything. It can be from the technological side. It can also be from maybe customer adoption, something like that. So yes, maybe I will start with you, Mahadi.
Sure. So thank you for the question. There are many instances where such opportunities come in when some huge amount of data is being analyzed, and sometimes there are surprises as well. So one example that I would like to give, again going back to the first project that I mentioned. So the idea was that, and there was evidence of it, quite publishable evidence, that 20% of the patient consume 80% of the budgets. And these are very high risk patients, complex patients, and so on and so forth, who are at a higher risk of being readmitted, and when the readmission happens, that budget drains further. So when we were undertaking the project in the very first phase, when the first analysis appeared, that number was even stark, because the publishable number was 20% of the patient consuming 80% of the budget, whereas this was 5%. So it was unbelievable to even comprehend that the severity of the problem was even bigger. And so then we further segment those data and so forth, and came up with newer models that would say that what in those 5% of the patients are. And so that gave a plethora of other information that we were analyzing, i.e., for example, socioeconomic spectrum of those patients and so. Those opportunities actually provides a totally different ballgame and totally different direction to the project, but we stayed within the lane of the project and completed the use case that was presented. But that did give the hospital management executives the idea that they need to spend more dollars onto the other side of the spectrum as well.
Impressive, yes. Anyone else wanted to chime in? Or...
I can. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe near.
So yeah, we have the opposite problem. So I just wanted to explain for a second. So there's the problem of a lot of data, and there's also the opposite problem of no data. So I can maybe touch on that a little bit. So I'll give you an example. So in our system, to be able to do imaging and tracking of these floaters, you need data to be able to tell the AI, like I said, this is a floater, right? It's pretty simple for us as humans to say that, but not for AI. But there is no system, there's no imaging system out there that can image these floaters. So how do you train your AI to collect floaters? And you need the AI to collect floaters to train the data, so it's kind of a cyclic, nasty battle. And so there's the notion of, there's kind of the world of synthetic data. So I wanted to maybe bring that up for a second. So we're relying on very small amount of data that we're able to capture on people in the office, as an example. We have an imaging system. We captured some, 10 people in the office, and we take this rudimentary data to recreate a lot of synthetic data, so thousands and thousands and thousands of other data that looks like floaters to train our algorithms, and then go with that best guess into the clinic to see how it performs, help us gather some more data, and then use that new data to retrain and come back. And so that was, for example, a challenge that we've had, and one of the ways to solve it is be creative around how can you capture a small number of data and then create out of that a big set for synthetic data to train. So that's
the other side of the coin, yes. Yeah. Yes, and Jeff, I guess?
I would like to add upon it. Nir actually hit on a really, really important point. One of the most challenging problems in building AI is getting data and getting data annotated, data explained to an AI. So what he did with floaters in the eye, we did the same thing with animals. And what we did is we were trying to build a system to ID every animal in the world, to create Face ID for animals. And then one of the ways that we cracked that problem is we didn't have an image of every animal in the world. So we used synthetic data and a huge grant from Google, actually in this case, to generate over 10 million training images across 200 species and 3,000 breeds. And in doing so, we built a platform AI that could ID animals globally. It doesn't matter if they swim, walk, or fly. We can uniquely identify them based on their features that exist on the animal. This is a good example of how you can take an AI to build one kind of data, in this case from a system called diffusion, and the Unreal Game Engine, to create to power a system that can do much, much more. And in this case, it's Face ID for every animal that walks the planet. And the point is that if you start putting the pieces together correctly, you can solve amazingly difficult problems at a relatively low cost. And synthetic data is a key for, I think, for almost any AI system today, to make it robust and scalable.
Thank you. Yes, and Quinn, I think you wanted to mention something before?
Sure. I can speak to one of our recent projects in the water industry. We've had a lot of success in the UK, and that's from a partnership that we've gained in the UK. They brought us in there. So we're working with this water utility, and our initial target was to optimize the water network to show them how to use a water pump more efficiently using our product. So we went in there, and again, as I said, it takes a lot of back and forth to get the data, then you got to annotate it, get it all set up, go forward from there. But the most interesting thing, and it's a credit to the team I worked with, is power of curiosity. So my colleague was working with it. You got this physical infrastructure, you got water pumps, you got water pipes, you got water storage. And at the end of it all, he then started showing me something that just blew my mind. He goes, Quinn, I think we can start shifting energy back and forth using water, and we could use these water reservoirs, these water tanks, as a form of energy storage. And I was like, wow, this is great. So we put it into the report. We're all excited. We're going to show it to our end customer. We put it up in front of these water utility guys, and we say, hey, you guys want to go more carbon neutral? You want to have more renewables built into your water distribution system? Have you thought about using your water storage as a type of energy storage? crickets. So I share that part of this data game is you might be able to find something, there's curiosity, but at the same time you have to find the right people on the other side, the customers who want to work with you. So I'm lucky enough, I've taken that and I'm talking to other water utilities who are actually very keen on deploying renewables, but you're always pushing the frontier when you're doing this analytics work, and you always have to encourage your people to do that. So that's my comment.
That's very true, I guess. And then Amir?
Yeah, I think like my colleagues here, we had some sort of problem with data because the scarcity of the data is everyone's problem. But for us, in agriculture, it's more about the distribution of the data. So you can collect data from, let's say, a farm in Canada, 10 farms in Canada, but then you want to run your model in a place in Arizona, and the environment would look different. And for plants, there's something called phenoplasticity of the plant, where just one species might look in 10 different forms just based on where it was planted. So that was really a challenge, especially when we are trying to accelerate our models. So it's kind of like we are trying to change two variables at the same time, getting the model to be really, really light, and at the same time capable of maneuvering the distribution shift when it's faced with the new environment.
Yes.
So I guess that was pretty challenging for us at a certain time, but right now I guess we are we manage it eventually to not just use this synthetic data, but we try to focus on architecture more because architecture is key for us as a real time. It has to be we are constrained by how fast it has to be. So what we try to do is go a little bit more creative on the architecture side to try to increase the capacity of knowledge and do some sort of a distribution transfer between the different distributions so that the model can be a little bit more predictable in new scenarios, I would say. In addition to that, there is something that we have been working on lately, which is we believe at Precision AI that it's just equally important to try to teach your model to say, I don't know, not just I know a lot of stuff, because models tend to just approximate the world in the way they learned, right? So teaching your model to distinguish between the out of distribution data, that's something I didn't face before, I don't really know, that's important. So you can take that information, deal with it, which is better than getting it wrong. Because I think you don't know is better than getting it wrong. So yeah, that was one of our recent challenges that we, I guess, managed to solve a little bit.
Thank you. Those are very insightful. I think we can get inspired by how they, all of these panelists trying to solve a problem. Even when they face something, they also try to find ways to get the solutions work. So the next question, I was thinking more about, again, challenges, but I guess it's related towards more ethical issues, or maybe if there's risk related, some things that get in, some things that you need to work on as you develop the business more, risk and then regulatory and also compliance, that kind of side of the business, I guess, for applied AI. So yes, if anyone wants to chime in.
I could start.
Okay, yes, thank you, Amber.
So yeah, for us, the problem might be relatively easier because we are not dealing with AGI yet. When it comes to agriculture, it's quite a limited problem, so you can somehow control it. But we are dealing maybe on the drone side is a whole different story because it's not yet regulated, right, in most of the states. So I think for us, we established that rule that we are gonna develop a concrete relationship with the government, because it's not really one-way relationship. Private sector is affecting the government is providing feedback, and so on and so forth, and eventually new rules will be shaped, right? Yes. And the other point is that transparency when it comes to AI, especially when it comes to generative AI, because there is no really way you can guarantee everything. So the best way is to be transparent about the methodology behind what you are doing. Give that information to your customer, educate your customers in the process, involve them in the loop, so that they can get in the same boat with you, have the same expectations as you. And yeah, that I guess minimizes the risk of things we see.
Amii?
Yeah,
okay, well, we're similar in our case. We don't have a lot of regulation for animals. You see, animals don't have privacy rights. And they don't wear clothes. And they don't launch lawsuits. So we don't have a lot of regulation yet, but that doesn't mean that we're in the free and the clear. So what OneCup does is we engage the government to be ahead of the regulations that are coming. And we provide input where we can. And as you know, there's acts that are coming that help regulate AI. And we provide input and we make sure that we're in compliance with those acts so that we can meet the demands of our customers. So even though we are in a low regulated area, our strategy is to be ahead of the game and to be at top of what's going on and provide input and guidance where we can.
Nice. Yes, good.
Well, we work in the industrial space. Yeah, we face a lot of regulation on a number of fronts. It can be a hindrance in some ways, but in some ways it's a benefit to actually drive your customer to actually acquire stuff. In the case of water leakage, particularly in the UK market, there's a national water regulator in place. They've put in targets for each water utility to reduce their water leakage overall. The interesting thing is, next year, some very, very, very tough financial penalties are going to start kicking in, saying now you have to pay, not only do we know that you're leaking, but you have to start paying millions and millions of dollars on top of that. So sometimes regulation can be a way to drive technology adoption and to move things forward. But in the industrial space, I have never had a conversation when it comes to data that doesn't start with, well, let's go for an NDA and let's make sure our data is protected. And then you have a very extensive discussion on data because these companies have a great deal of sensitivity around the data. In particular, like oil pipelines, as one person said to me, you know, if this data got out to the public sphere, there's people that could use this to trade oil barrels. They can manipulate the market. So there's a great deal of sensitivity. So you have to build trust as well as come forward with remedies to manage the risk.
Thank you. And Maharia Nir and
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
comments?
So being in the health, that question never goes away. So when we started, we were very mindful of creating frameworks within our company, as well as the clients that we deal with have been dealing with the privacy and security of data for many, many years. So there were some mature frameworks out there that our clients also utilize. De-identification of the data and re-identification of the data and so on and so forth when the project is unreal. Or the ethics approvals. Each project would have one or the other kind of ethics approval to be in place, or the data had to be completely cleansed from identifiable components. So that's the evolution on where this is going. What we are seeing right now is the regulations are going to get more tougher, as Quinn mentioned. It's not going to get easier. But having said that, there's also a maturity of there are more public data sets available in healthcare than ever before in Canada. Like if you go to some government sites, a lot of data, which is not non-identifiable, is openly available for you to train your models and so forth. It's increasing. So once you take care of that, it should not be untouchable as an area, but you have to embrace it and move it forward with it and adopt and be mindful of the privacy, security, and the legislation which governs.
Yes.
We are also seeing in international projects the data security earlier in the countries. We have a couple of international projects that we touched upon in this 10 years, and it was a bit of a Wild West there. But now even those governments are putting some good regulations around it that the data cannot cross the border, for example. Okay, the Canadian data right now cannot cross the border. Even if you want to take in the US, you can't, until unless it has certain approvals. So that's how we learn over the period of time, and we still keep on learning. So data security remains a primary area for us. Whether with this healthcare data, and now we are transitioning into wellness data, which is more wearables and so forth. Same thing applies. Thanks.
Thank you.
There's a lot of discussion about data privacy and keeping it in Canada, and we kind of follow the same steps, right? That's what we're using ISAIC as an example. We wanted to have all the data that we have used for training in Edmonton and in a secure site. But something that wasn't touched on, and I think it's worthwhile bringing. So we're building a medical device that eventually would have to get approved by Health Canada or FDA, right, to get that into patients. Of course, too bad we don't know. So,
Yes.
I'll yell at him later.
So, we would eventually need to get those approved, and so we have AI that drives the system, drives the laser, and you could imagine that Health Canada and FDA could be very timid about, well, what's your AI doing, and would it damage somebody's eye by mistake? So the good news, and I wanted to bring some good news because around regulations and all that, people get concerned about it. The world is moving towards AI, right? That's kind of a fact. It happens in all industries. It happens in the medical device industry, in all medical industries. And so FDA and Health Canada are adopting new policies to understand how do they deal with it, right? They want, their purpose is to allow companies to bring companies to the market to help patients while also being, making sure that it's safe. So for us as a company, we need to follow certain standards and rules to make sure that our AI is safe and we're not gonna injure anybody. But the regulators are there to help you figure this out, and then they work on themselves, improving how, their processes on giving you better and better guidelines as time goes by to improve that. And so generally in industries, these are things that gets improved over time, at least I hope. But I know in our case, that's the case. So I wouldn't, if you guys are thinking about starting something in the AI world, I wouldn't let that be your kind of stop point. I would still continue, but being mindful that eventually you'll have to face that, and so you need to plan for that in advance. So that's my 2
Thank
cents.
you, Mayor. All right, so I guess right now we can open the questions to the floor. If there's any questions you want to ask the panelists, please feel free. Yes, go ahead. And maybe you can mention your name as well to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Shariath. I'm a mechanical engineering student at the UFA. My question is for Jeffrey. So first of all, I've spoken to a lot of cattle farmers in my own journey, and everyone knows about the company, and they're really excited to, first adopt, see how this works. But my question is, how's your journey been in terms of talking to cattle farmers and finding early adopters? Has it been easy? Yeah.
It has been easy and both hard. See, the challenge of when you have a radically new technology, the people that let's look at, take an analogy of the horse-drawn carriage and Henry Ford creating the car. How would you explain to someone that has a carriage what a car is? That's a huge leap in logic, right? Because they did it a certain way for many, many years, and now you're saying a car or a tractor can automate that. We have the same thing with computer vision. Farmers and ranchers have no idea what's possible with computer vision. So they have a hard time understanding what it can and cannot do. They think if they can see it and AI can see it, which is kind of true, but a camera cannot see as well as a human can. A camera doesn't have stereo vision. It doesn't have the ability to walk around the animal. So we've had great interest and eagerness to sign up, but we've also had to face the battle of tempering it of what's possible and what's reasonable and viable. And there's always that push and pull. So to be specific, as an example of this would be, let's say, calving. For us to indicate that there's a calving alert, a calving event, we need to be able to see the cow. Now, a rancher can just walk around a barn to see if the cow's having a baby, but our cameras can't do that. So they wonder, why did we miss the calving event? It's because we didn't have eyes on the animal. And that's something that doesn't always come across when you set the system up. So there's an important duty as us as a company to explain what is possible and what is not possible and what to expect. So yeah, it's both challenging and rewarding.
Thank you.
I'd like to add a comment here because it's the same actually for us, and there's kind of like a general understanding now in the team I'm working with them. It can take you like 1 year to reach out to like 95% of your accuracy aspects or real-time speed or whatever, and it takes you like 4 years to reach the next 4% or so, and your customer is not gonna accept 95%. They just are used to the normal processes and everything works for them. So you are disrupting all of that and for what? So that's a very legitimate question. So I guess the education, the common education, is the only way.
Yes, agreed. Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yes,
Just
for
as
sure.
a kind of a practical approach. I think what you want to do is you really want to figure out what's their pain points. So how does a farmer thinks they're trying to make money off selling a cow, they have expenses, they need to have food, they need to make sure the cows don't die. And so you really need to understand their world from their perspective and have a value proposition, right? If you want them to work with you, I think the best way is to come to them and say, here's a problem, is that right? And then they'll nod and say yes, and say, I've got a solution, right? So I think they'll be open to that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions? Maybe I should look there. Yes, thank you.
I'm Archana Singh with Prairies Canada. So ISAIC, of course, being a not-for-profit cloud resource for Western Canadian companies and other stakeholders. It's a center of expertise in cloud computing as well and offers guidance. We know that. Can you, from a company perspective, I'm assuming you guys are all ISAIC users or something, can you talk about what ISAIC has either helped you with or what it could do more of, and whether or not you're also a cloud user from like AWS or Google? Are you using other ones as well? And then a second question as well is, when you guys get stuck with an AI ML issue and you need that expertise, right? Like you have in-house resources or maybe you don't, but when you get stuck, where do you go for that to kind of get past that technology or knowledge hurdle? However you want to answer it.
Two
Okay,
parts
so
of the
I'll
question.
take that
Yes.
question. So yes, we have, it has been, if you see the timeline, I'm just going to go back to the story that I stated. Our first project started almost 12 years back, and by 10 years, the results were out. If we see the trajectory from there to now, in this 10 or 12 years, what has happened is that we were thinking that by the time these technologies will be in use, in the last 5 years, this graph has really gone up. You see this Upperbound conference and even this one. And within that, one of the critical point was the creation of ISAIC, because the processing power has to be there. You may have data, you may have expertise, you may have subject matter expertise, but you need the infrastructure to process this data. And smaller companies, startup companies would not have that. With the CPU power or whatever, we can put 2 or 3 servers. So we have utilized ISAIC, and so would be the other companies that are being benefited. And our understanding is that the second part of the question was that if we stop there, what will be the next? So first and the foremost, I can tell you that any commercial vendor, I cannot name any commercial vendors because that would be not right, but any commercial vendors that provide cloud-based technologies are non-competitive in front of ISAIC, because this is local infrastructure, okay? Much more affordable in pricing and much more powerful than you just keep on adding on cloud-based services, and you will come to know how many thousands of dollars you may spend in a month, especially when dealing with big data. So we don't have any second stop right now other than ISAIC as far as the processing power is concerned. As far as the talent is concerned, of course the universities here produce good talent, very good talent I would say. And of course Amii is also there, so there is some help from that side, I would say. So we are very fortunate. The only complaint I would have from my side is that we are still not moving fast, as an ecosystem. We are like, I'm really glad to see so many companies doing this AI and ML in practical terminologies and developing technology. But given what we have right now in the region, we should have had more.
Thank you. Anyone else wanted to chime in, maybe?
I guess
Amrit?
for us, I guess the support was even more important than the cost, because our problem is seasonal. So sometimes we need to have a solution before tomorrow. Because tomorrow we're gonna fly in the field, and we fixed something yesterday, and if we miss that window, it's it's missed. We will wait for the next growth stage where the crop is gonna be like next week or maybe next 2 weeks, and so on and so forth. So I guess support, fast support was very important for us, and thank you.
No, for sure.
You lived up to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so ISAIC actually is critically important. It's very strategic, and I'll explain why. You see, when you build a model in computer vision, you have to train the model, and then you have to basically turn it into a POC, a proof of concept, and even an MVP, a minimal viable product. And that's where ISAIC kind of stops. But having access to ISAIC to cover those 3 areas was a critical, essential for our business. And going back to what was mentioned here, is ISAIC, when you go to the cloud and you ask for a computer, it's not always the same computer. The beauty of ISAIC is that you can go and get a computer that is exactly the specifications you need, and it stays like that. And if it doesn't work, ISAIC has the single best cloud service, customer service I've ever seen. It is so much better than the major big cloud providers. So when you're trying to get something going and working, ISAIC is essential. It would be very difficult to do it in the random environment of the cloud. But then when you go to scale, you would use the big cloud providers to scale. So we use ISAIC to solve our problems, build an MVP, POC, and then the MVP and get it going. And then the way that we solve our problems, and this goes back to research, is, which of course we ask the experts, but we just go find the research papers. We look them up, written by people at Amii, and we see what they did, and then we go try it out on ISAIC's machines. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, we go ask them why it didn't work. And but if we didn't have the resources here at ISAIC that were cost effective to do so, it would have been much harder for us to solve a lot of the problems that we've solved in animal care. We're not looking for ISAIC to be our scaling platform. We're looking it to be our R&D platform.
Thank you. Yes. If anyone else want to chime in, yes.
Just maybe to kind of say the same as everybody else have said, right? For us, it was a matter of getting something local here. I think the big thing for us was the security certification. So again, I'm not the expert in my team. I would have to bring the CTO here to talk about this. But one primary reason was the security aspect of patient data and patient information. Right? We were kind of concerned about what happens if I put it on Google Cloud or AWS and somebody gets access to that. So that was a really big rationale for us to do that. And then the other piece was cost to support R&D. For sure, that was another big rationale for that.
Yes.
There's a benefit to everyone in the room that's looking to start an AI or ML company. The cloud is there. ISAIC is here locally, and you can use it. My colleagues and I, we launched our company pre-COVID. And my colleague in the back can smile because we had to purchase some very expensive hardware and build it. Because the client base we were going after was oil pipelines, who whenever I would go in and say, we can put that data in the cloud, I had 2 responses. One, they would get up and walk out of the room, or 2, they would stay and they would say stuff that I'm not going to repeat here. Now that we've gone through COVID and everybody, and all the IT departments are very comfortable with cloud, moving everything there. We're talking to industrial assets around the planet. We can say, yes, we can store your data here. The companies have the facilities. It's a different world and you're in a different place. So if you have ISAIC, you have access to this wonderful asset, go for it. Use it, do all your R&D, get up to speed as quickly as you can, and then scale it to AWS or whatever else that's out there.
Thank you, Quinn. With the interest of time, I think I will leave some time for you to network if you want to do that as well, to talk with the panelists, for example. And just to close, I did write some notes over there, but I'm gonna mention it here. So today, there are some interesting events, but especially I want to highlight Exploring AI Adoption. That is at the Edmonton Convention Center. That will be at 3:45 p.m. with Sam Das, Pegasus, also I think Alpha Logic or Alpha Later, I'm sorry. And then tomorrow though, Thursday, there will be From Theory to Field. That is with Precision AI. So that is will be 2 p.m. at 2 p.m. also at the Edmonton Convention Center. And then finally Friday, there will be Harnessing the Power of Precision Agriculture from 9:15 a.m. So that will be with One Cup AI. Yes, please for sure I guess enjoy the Upperbound, also like visit more sessions, and we would also encourage you, to fill out our feedback form, please. This way we would understand more about how we perform, and also if you have any other questions or you would like to know more information about ISAIC. And as that, yeah, thank you for coming, and please join me to thank the panelists. Thank you for joining ISAIC's YouTube channel. If you'd like to see more videos about emerging technologies, please hit the subscribe button. We appreciate your support. See you in the next episode.